Join us on Patreon and become part of our journey to uncover history's untold stories. Your support helps us create in-depth content, bring hidden narratives to life, and keep history alive for everyone.
The Ku Klux Klan, KKK, has long been synonymous with racial terrorism in the United States. While much has been documented about the Klan's atrocities against African Americans in general, its specific role in attacking Black natives, individuals of both African and Indigenous heritage, has received far less attention. Yet, this group endured some of the most brutal assaults in America's racialized history. The story of their persecution by the Klan is one that intertwines colonialism, slavery, racial hierarchies, and the struggle for identity. It is a history that must be unearthed and examined not only to acknowledge the suffering endured by Black natives, but also to recognize the resilience and resistance they displayed in the face of relentless oppression. From the Reconstruction era to the Civil Rights Movement and beyond, the Klan targeted Black natives in ways that often mirrored their attacks on African Americans, but with unique elements stemming from the complexities of their mixed ancestry. These attacks were fueled by white supremacist ideologies that sought to maintain racial purity and control over the racial and cultural dynamics in the South and other parts of the United States. Black natives were often seen as a threat to white dominance due to their deep-rooted connection to the land through their indigenous ancestry and their resistance to the systemic oppression faced by both Black and Native communities. This article delves into the historical reality of how the Klan, operating through lynchings, night raids, political intimidation, and economic sabotage, sought to erase Black natives from the American narrative. It also explores the resilience of these communities, their role in the broader struggle for civil rights, and how their persecution fits into the larger framework of white supremacist violence. To understand the full scope of the KKK's campaign of terror against Black natives, we must trace its origins, tactics, and lasting impact on American society. The Ku Klux Klan was founded in 1865 in Pulaski, Tennessee, in the immediate aftermath of the Civil War. Initially conceived as a social fraternity for Confederate veterans, the Klan quickly transformed into a paramilitary terrorist organization dedicated to maintaining white supremacy in the face of Black political and social advancement during Reconstruction. Black natives, particularly in the South, found themselves among the targets of this newly emerging reign of terror. Black natives had long been integral to both African American and Indigenous communities. Many were descendants of enslaved Africans who had been brought to live among indigenous tribes such as the Cherokee, Creek, Seminole, and Choctaw. Some were freedmen who had intermarried into Native communities, forming distinct cultural identities. During the Civil War, some Black natives fought for the Union, while others, particularly those living among the 5 civilized tribes, were forced to align with the Confederacy due to tribal leadership policies. This complex history made them an easy target for the Klan's wrath. During Reconstruction 1865 to 1877, Black natives, like other African Americans, gained newfound political and social rights through amendments to the U.S. Constitution and federal legislation. The Klan, however, sought to reverse these gains. Night raids, where white-robed Klansmen terrorized Black communities, included targeted attacks on Black Native families. In places like Oklahoma, Georgia, and Florida, Black natives were lynched, their homes burned, and their votes suppressed through threats of violence. The Klan's mission to maintain white supremacy extended beyond mere acts of violence. A core aspect of their strategy was the systematic disenfranchisement of Black and Black Native voters. While African Americans were being driven away from polling stations across the South, Black natives faced additional barriers due to the complex legal battles surrounding their tribal status and land rights. Following the Civil War, the U.S. government sought to assimilate Native Americans through policies such as the Dawes Act, 1887, which divided tribal lands into individual allotments. For Black natives, this meant not only fighting against white settlers who coveted their lands, but also facing discrimination from both white authorities and, at times, tribal governments that sought to exclude them. The Klan played an active role in reinforcing this racial exclusion, using terror to drive Black natives from their lands and suppress their claims to tribal citizenship. Throughout the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Black natives in the South and Midwest were subjected to an ongoing campaign of intimidation. Klansmen frequently attacked their settlements, targeting schools and churches where Black natives sought to educate themselves and organize politically. In some instances, Black native leaders who attempted to advocate for their rights were lynched or forced into exile. As the United States entered the Jim Crow era in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the Klan's attacks on Black natives escalated. Jim Crow laws not only segregated Black Americans, but also created legal loopholes that further marginalized Black natives. In states like Oklahoma, where many Black natives resided, the Klan targeted Black native landowners through a combination of mob violence and legal manipulation. One of the most egregious examples of Klan terror against Black natives occurred during the Tulsa Race Massacre in 1921. While this massacre primarily targeted African Americans in the prosperous Greenwood district, it also affected Black natives who had settled in Tulsa following forced displacement from their tribal lands. The Klan played a central role in organizing and executing the massacre, which left hundreds dead and an entire community in ruins. By the mid-20th century, as the civil rights movement gained momentum, the Klan sought to reinforce white dominance through renewed acts of terror. Black natives who participated in civil rights protests or aligned with organizations such as the NAACP found themselves at the forefront of Klan violence. Churches, schools, and homes were bombed, and activists were murdered in cold blood. Despite these attacks, Black natives played a crucial role in the fight for civil rights. Figures like Sylvia Mendez, a Black native Latina who fought against school segregation, and individuals from the Lumbee and Seminole communities stood firm against Klan intimidation. One of the most notable moments of resistance occurred in 1958 in North Carolina when the Lumbee tribe, which included many Black natives, confronted and drove away a Klan rally in what became known as the Battle of Hayes Pond. The Ku Klux Klan's history of terror against Black natives is a stark reminder of America's deep-seated racial hierarchies and the violent lengths to which white supremacists have gone to enforce them. The attacks against Black natives were not just an extension of anti-Black racism, but also a direct assault on the intertwined histories of African and Indigenous peoples in America. Understanding this history is essential to acknowledging the full scope of racial violence in the United States. The erasure of Black native experiences from mainstream narratives has only served to further marginalize these communities. By bringing their stories to light, we honor their resilience and ensure that their struggles and contributions are never forgotten.